Welcome to this episode of Virtual Coffee, with dialogues about the future of health, including innovation, the new era of digital first, physical next, and reflections from outside of healthcare. Brief conversations, as if it were in a barista cafe, always realistic but with a positive outlook. There are enough pessimistic channels out there already. I'm your host. My name is Lucien Engelen. 40 years of healthcare experience in ambulance services, dispatch centers, University Medical Center, and Singularity University, all mainly on the innovation intersection of technology and patient empowerment. Started during the COVID pandemic, checking in with friends, colleagues, and experts about topics that matter to them and to me. Distributed through LinkedIn Live, YouTube, and Facebook with video, and through Spotify, Apple Podcast, and other audio platforms, or via my website, www.transform.health. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this virtual coffee on this bright summer morning at May 7th, Thursday. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live coffee, a place where I try to check in with friends, family, and experts on all kinds of different topics. And I'm very proud today that I've been able to seduce a couple of my friends passionate about the future of food to chat and talk with me about the intersection on the future of health and the future of food. I will be joined by Dominique van Seggelen and by Jagt, both colleagues of mine within Deloitte, and I'm very pleased to introduce and announce them to you. So welcome, Dominique and Randy. Dominique, could you introduce yourself briefly, please?
Yes, thank you, Lucien, and thanks for having us. It's an honor to be in your live chat. Dominique van Seggelen, I'm a tax partner at Deloitte and part of the executive committee responsible for the consumer market. I have less than 40, but 22 years still of experience, Lucien, in consumer and chemicals business, and have seen so many things. And over those years, the food theme came really to my attention and triggered me. And there's a lot of passion and things to talk about. I'm looking forward to have that conversation now.
Thank you. Randy, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Lucien. And very, very excited to be here. It's I love this topic. And just as a quick introduction, I'm only 18 years with Deloitte. I serve a lot of our foods, but also global consumer clients across the world. And I lead our Future of Food task force within Deloitte, which gives me the opportunity to help our clients to transform themselves and be successful in the future.
Thank you. So we've bumped into each other a couple of times and we've chatted and explored this intersection on future of health at one end and the future of food on the other one. Maybe, Dominique, you could explain a bit more about this. What is this futures kind of thing that runs within Deloitte right now in terms of creating this strategy for that?
Yeah, Lucien, we started in May, June to rethink our strategy. And decided that it was important to focus us more on global themes and global challenges. And so one of the pillars that we have built our strategy on is on the future of themes. So there's the future of health, as you know very well, the future of food, mobility, energy transition, and safety, and the future of work, for example. And we have embedded those future themes within the executive committee and really are organizing all our service. That is of course a huge, I could call it a pharmacy of pills that we can provide as a consulting company, but we wanted to do that in an integrated way around these topics that are most relevant for us as community. So this is our strategy, and I'm responsible for future of food because of the passion that I feel. And one of the things that triggered me a couple of years ago was a statement that the average meal of a US person travels 1,500 miles from farm to plate. And the impact of that fact is enormous. And on top of that, we see that we are even in the Western world not able to really provide quality and healthy food to each other. and also demand for that. So very interesting topic. There's a lot to do, and I'm so intrigued by the opportunity that we have as companies, as governments, as research bodies, to work together and build an ecosystem and really connect and contribute to make a big step forward on that.
Yeah, well, that's also because it's also intertwined with all kinds of other aspects. You mentioned the distance that food traveled, so this is also very much about sustainability, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Randy, how does this future of food in your dreams might look like? Could you elaborate a bit on that one?
No, very happy to. And in my dreams, it's going to be a very exciting future. I think what we've seen so far within food has gone through a massive transformation already, with a lot of automation, the ability to feed a global population and reduce world hunger. But the job is far from over. There's still humongous challenges to overcome, both as Dominique also just shared, on a sustainability and responsibility side for a planet, but also, for example, on health. At this moment, there's still 1.9 billion people around the world that are facing obesity. In parallel, there's still 2 billion people around the world that have micro nutritional misses to actually have a healthy body. And absolutely, the connection between food and health it's pivotal. It's fundamental to have a good, healthy body. So we see a lot of overlap between those two.
So is there a choice? So I think at present there still is a choice to eat healthy, I think. Is that also something that you would expect in the near future, or is it more like that it's no longer a choice, it's automatically that food becomes more healthy into it?
I think it's absolutely a growing momentum. And I think an ideal future that we would love to see is that food plays such a key role, and that we, as a possible future, will only have healthy food to boost our way of living, but also fit with our values, our situation in life, our targets. If we want to run a marathon, etc. And that kind of food and health really connects on those two. And it's very interesting with this COVID time. We do see that people pay very close attention to what they eat, what they cook at home, and really focus on healthy ingredients and take care of each other. And which I think is also, well, it would be great if this will continue.
So Dominique, from your experience, the food companies that you work with, what are the challenges that they're looking for? How do they cope with this? And also, maybe you could chime in a bit on this very impressive time that we're in right now during this COVID pandemic, how they cope with that, right?
Yeah, and I think as Randy just mentioned as well, Lucien, it is. I think there's two elements to it. There's a drive on the demand side, where the consumer, us, are looking to get more healthy ingredients, more quality food. For myself, for example, I experience quite often that you feel physically different when you eat different kinds of food, and I'm very interested in finding out what is exactly that bit of food that is giving me energy rather than taking energy. And that's a very simple example, and that applies probably to many of us. And so if you then look at the companies, to your question, I think every company is interested in doing so. However, the demand from the consumer side is leading often, because they can develop more personal ingredients, more demand-driven ingredients, if the market is there. And there's a switching of a tipping point that we need to define together, or help to reach that tipping point. And this COVID phase where we in right now is, as Randy just mentioned, is a fantastic momentum, because we feel we need to be more healthy. We like to eat more vitamins. We like to eat more fresh farm products and so on. So there's a great momentum. The challenge is, how can we get together and start a movement together? And that is where we need to trigger us all and make a step forward and do it together.
Which is, I think, an ecosystem play. Randy, this ecosystem play related from the future of food towards the ecosystem of the future of health. This is something that we've been discussing, how we could intertwine effort from both sides of the industry, let's call it industries, to connect to it. And one of the great examples that I always think that makes sense is what could happen if, for instance, retail supermarkets with their food offerings could lower or raise the price. So this is a tricky one for people that live with a chronic condition or due to their lifestyle should become more prone to that. Is that something that you see as well?
Yes, so I definitely see the future, and it's great because it's already here that, for example, food retailers are setting up apps to guide people about what to eat to actually increase their performance. And I fully agree. I think the next step is this should not be a singular company doing that. It should become an ecosystem where food producers, food retailers, nutritionists, healthcare instances, but also life science companies come together, work together, and create an all-encompassing solution and platform to help consumers to eat healthy. And it's only when we work together we will have the maximum success for that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, for example, just to make a parallel, there's an initiative where we are involved in researching the neurological motives for people to spend money, for example. So in the Western world, it appears that there's a roughly 35-40% of people with a normal income still in financial distress at every end of the month. And it appears that there's a neurological trigger for people to spend money in an irresponsible way or a less long-term way. So that neurological element could also be part of, for example, the way we decide to take food and the choices we make for certain bits of food.
Which also brings me to another parallel into it. We know that people with high financial debt also are more prone to use more healthcare. Let's say to use more healthcare. Yeah. There's a great initiative being taken also in the Netherlands where banks, together with healthcare insurance organizations, try to flatten more the spread of the financial debt, and with that to lower the healthcare costs. So the extra interest that the bank should raise for the patient in question is being surpassed or supplemented by the healthcare insurance organization. Yeah. So we see that in this ecosystem play, there's tons of opportunities. And briefly back to what Randy just shared, I really have to share this slide. So this is a test that I took, which is a test that I've sent in a sample of my stool, and based on my gut biome, it's being exemplified which kind of foods at the left-hand side I should avoid, and which foods, which they call superfoods, at the mid side of the table, I really should take in. So I think with that also we are giving more and more the opportunity to more personalized the food that we take, and that is beneficial to everything for us. Yeah. Randy, back to you. What is the most promising part of this future of food that connects to the health of people?
I think you actually just mentioned it. It's personalized nutrition. And so a couple of things on that. So one, personalization is a big trend that has gone for many years already. And we now see that food companies are really starting to play a role in that. And it's very interesting. It's actually taking first place in the feed sector, in the animal feed sector, where feed is being tailored to specific small groups or segments of livestock. And now with artificial intelligence, even through computer vision, they're looking into, how's the behavior and what to adjust in the diet to optimize the health of cows or livestock, etc. But also on a human side, the next generation, we want to be delighted at the moments that we need. Imagine that an average person per day has 8 moments of thirst. How can producers of drinks serve those moments of nutrition, of those moments of thirst? And even better, if we combine that with being healthy in a prevention of illness or sickness, but also in post care, there's so much opportunity. My grandmother is 98 years old, and she's very sensitive to infections, etc. It would be fantastic to have a tracking device for her, but also get full visibility on what is he eating and what kind of nutrients he's missing or additional supplements that he needs to remain healthy. And it's essential.
Yeah.
So this is the biggest opportunity, I think, between food and health.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Dominique.
And you see, Lucien, and Rennie, you see the examples, right? There's a medical institution in the Netherlands, for example, that is monitoring, or at least helping potential COVID patients to monitor their situation, and that goes by app. And of course, we have seen in the news in the Netherlands, there's a lot of talk about apps in the globally also, how we can monitor and manage our health and COVID issues. This is one of the big topics within the future of health, as you always share. And if you would simply combine that, and I say simply, I realize it's not simple, but it seems close by. If you combine that with the apps that are also around Food Coach, for example, there are several examples where you can combine a food producer or a grocery store with your needs, as Rennie also mentioned, your needs to take in food, and just so order based on your personal desires and needs and your personalized nutrition requirements. So making those opportunities realistic and bring them to life by teaming as an ecosystem. It is often siloed, but this is such an easy, between brackets, easy opportunity that we should definitely pursue together.
Well, I think that's a perfect way to wrap this virtual coffee up. Dominique, Randy, thank you for being with me. Thank you for sharing your insights. Thank you also for opening up in doing this in a totally new way through LinkedIn Live, which is still kind of new and also is a bit of pioneering as well. Back to you out there in the audience. Thank you for chiming in this virtual coffee on the future of health. In this specific case, on the combination of the future of health and the future of food. Please share your comments still in the LinkedIn post that is underneath this video. Looking forward to the next time when you join me into this virtual coffee. Thank you again. Stay safe.